So let me tell you about Cynthia. It's late in the evening. Cynthia's not feeling great. She's been having this progressive abdominal pain all day, and she wants to get a hold of her physician. And so she calls the office, and she reaches the PerfectServe after-hours solution, which allows you to send a message to the on-call primary care physician. The on-call primary care physician information comes from that on-call schedule that is running behind the scenes. And Cynthia sends a message, and it goes to Dr. Miller, who receives a message on his app. He receives the actual message from Cynthia. He receives her voicemail. He also receives a transcription, and he receives her callback number. He listens to the message. He reads the message. He is concerned about Cynthia, so he wants to talk to her. But he wants to take it even a step further, and he has three options. He could text message her back, he could call her with a voice call, or he could do a video visit. And so he wants to do a video visit. He was concerned about what she was saying, and so he initiates a billable video visit. He lives in a state where he can bill for this video visit, and he sends Cynthia a link. Cynthia gets the link. She doesn't need an app. She doesn't need a portal. She clicks on the link, and now Dr. Miller and Cynthia are engaged in this video visit. Cynthia doesn't look very good. She's starting to sweat. Dr. Miller is very concerned about Cynthia, so he sends her to the ED. He wants to have her worked up for an acute appendicitis and maybe needing an appendectomy. So Dr. Miller wants to give the ED a heads up that Cynthia's on her way in. He has three options. In the app alone, he can find the ED charge nurse, he can find the ED main line, or he can find the ED physician on-call schedule. Again, that on-call schedule embedded as part of the app. He chooses to call the ED physician, and he lets the ED physician know through one click that he is sending Cynthia in for a workup. And I want to mention the app that he used to call the ED physician was also the same app that he used to contact Cynthia. So all within the exact same experience. Cynthia's workup is now complete. It is confirmed that she has acute appendicitis. The ED physician had received critical results for Cynthia. Her abnormally high white count went straight to his unified inbox on his app, letting him know that Cynthia had critical results. So now the ED physician needs to contact the on-call surgeon. So he searches in the app for the general one surgeon, simply typing in general surgeon on call, and he sees that Dr. Tran is on call, and he sends Dr. Tran a message letting her know that Cynthia is in the ED. Dr. Tran comes down to the ED and admits Cynthia for surgery. As part of that process, Dr. Miller now receives an e-notification that Cynthia's been admitted. This message goes directly to his inbox. So in that same app, he's now receiving a notification that Cynthia was admitted. And as you all know, CMS requires that for patient event notifications, they are sent to primary care physicians. And here we are able to route it to the primary care physician's inbox. So Dr. Tran is ready to start the surgery, but before surgery, she wants to put her app into procedure mode. And what this allows is that Dr. Tran does not need to hand her phone or her personal PIN to someone in the OR to monitor her messages. This eliminates the need to give up your personal device for someone else to monitor. And by putting her app into procedure mode, this ensures that while Dr. Tran is in surgery, her messages won't bother her, and they get routed to a designee of her choice. So based on how the organization sets up procedure mode, it can route to a surgical tech, a circulating nurse. There's also the ability to limit who can be monitored. There's also 100% complete transparency when someone goes into monitoring mode. So you know who is monitoring your messages, and the physician has the ability to stop monitoring at any time. In this case, while Dr. Tran is doing surgery on Cynthia, she does get a message, and it routes to Nurse James Toomey, and the message says that there's an incoming trauma, and they're looking to see if Dr. Tran is available. And James responds on behalf of Dr. Tran, currently in surgery, but should be available in 20 minutes. So Cynthia comes out of surgery and she's doing great, but Cynthia's husband, Lee, was out of town and could not be present for the surgery. So Dr. Tran wants to give Cynthia's husband, Lee, an update, and through the same app, sends Lee a message letting him know that Cynthia's out of surgery and she's doing great. Again, all through the same app in the same tool that she's been using for other communication. So Lee gets off the phone with Dr. Tran, really happy to hear that Cynthia's doing well, but he wants to hear her voice. So in a rush to get to the hospital, Lee left her cell phone at home. So Lee needs to connect with Cynthia through her phone in her room. And so Lee calls the hospital switchboard and asks to be connected to Cynthia's room. And Lee speaks with Diego, the hospital operator. And by using the integrated PerfectServe operator console, the operator can easily locate Cynthia, verify Cynthia's location and care team without ever having to leave the operator console. So instead of working through multiple screens and multiple tools, the EMR, the operator solution, all within a single solution, the operator is able to give a warm handoff and ensure that Lee and Cynthia are connected. So Cynthia gets off the phone after talking to Lee, and she remembers that Dr. Tran said that she can have ice water, or she can have some water. She's really thirsty, and she presses the nurse call button. And because her pillow speaker is integrated with the nurse call solution and PerfectServe's routing capabilities, the request for water routes to the tech. Nurse mobility is a big topic in an area that we've invested heavily in at PerfectServe, and it allows us to offload non-nurse tasks from nurses. And so in this case, this request for water went to the tech. And similar to provider workflow, nurses and techs work out of the same unified inbox. And so in this case, the ask for water went to Jay's unified inbox. But there's more. Jay is down the hall from Cynthia's room and wants to also check with Cynthia to see, in addition to water, if she would like some ice chips. From his mobile device, he is able to call the pillow speaker in Cynthia's room and speak with her directly. And so he's able to bring her ice chips and water after verifying the integration between PerfectServe and Nurse Call. So Cynthia has water, she has her ice chips, she's resting, and the nurse comes in to check on Cynthia's bandage and notices that it looks bloodier than usual, and the nurse is concerned. And the nurse wants to send a message to Dr. Tran. But Dr. Tran is in that trauma surgery working on that patient that had arrived. But not an issue. By Leslie sending a message to Dr. Tran, it automatically routes to the correct provider, Dr. Deepak Patel. And this eliminates the need for Leslie to track down who's covering for Dr. Tran. It's all driven by the rules behind the scene, sending that message to the covering provider for Dr. Tran while she's in surgery. And Dr. Patel responds, no worry, wound looks okay, all part of the healing process, nothing to be concerned about. It's now the next morning, and Cynthia has a good night of sleep. She's not having any pain. Decision looks good, and she's ready to go home. And Dr. Tran is ready to discharge Cynthia. So Dr. Tran starts on 3 parts of the discharge process. 1, Dr. Tran wants to speaks with the care manager to arrange for dressing changes. And Dr. Tran is able to find the care manager by finding Cynthia in the app and then looking at the care team to see who the care manager is covering for Cynthia. Dr. Tran also wants to initiate a video visit with Lee and Cynthia to go over the discharge plan of care. And then lastly, Dr. Tran enters a discharge order in the EMR, which then creates that e-notification to Dr. Miller, letting him know via e-notification that Cynthia is now being discharged. So you've heard me mention the patient and family communication messaging a few times throughout the story, and we don't consider that ending when the patient gets home. It's very much part of the unified communication experience. And so when Cynthia goes home, She's resting, and she receives a text message. This organization set up messages to be sent to discharge patients several hours after they get home. And Cynthia is resting, and she gets this message that asks her about her discharge instructions, her pain, and if she was able to fill her prescription. And in this case, Cynthia answers that she was unable to fill her prescription. She answers no. But behind each of these event-based responses, yes, no, not applicable, there are rules that indicate if and where any further escalation or follow-up is needed. And so when she selects no, a message goes to Sue Brady, the patient navigator, who immediately gets that message that Cynthia was unable to fill her medication and reaches out to Cynthia to resolve the issue. And our event-based management platform is part of our patient and family-centered messaging solution. And this really drives to ensure that responses by patients are responded to timely in a manner the organization wants to define for the questions that are important in asking patients about post-discharge.